Let's turn now to the director of the Polling Institute of Politics at Harvard University MSNBC contributor John Della Volpe. He has a new survey out just this morning of young voters and the issues that matter most to them. John, always great to see you. Before we get specifically into those issues, let's just look among young voters at the general election in your new survey. And remind people what age voters we're talking about, and then we'll show the number here.
Sure thing. We're talking about young voters under the age of 30, 18 to 29-year-old voters. Let's remember, Willie, this is the group that turned out in record numbers in 2020 and overwhelmingly supported Joe Biden. And many people believe that's the reason that he was elected president. We can see here a dramatic shift over the last several months. He is winning. Kamala Harris is leading Trump by 32 points among likely voters. And just several months ago, Joe Biden in the same position was leading by only 13 points. In fact, over the summertime, I had some polling. I looked at other polling where Donald Trump was actually leading the Democrat candidates in the battleground states. So this is a massive, significant vibe shift just in the last several months.
And we'll talk about what's going into that big shift. Let's take a look at the next one, which is, do you have a favorable or unfavorable view of these people listing the candidates and their vice presidential running mates? What do you see here?
You can see here clearly blue and red. That blue and red isn't because of Democrats and Republicans only. It's because of being kind of above water or underwater. And what you can see here is both Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are underwater by 28 to 30 percentage points. You know, only less than 33 out of 10 people have favorable views of them, while as Tim Walz is not incredibly well known yet, but he's plus 14, as is Kamala Harris at plus 5, close to 50%. Not only that, but her job approval is up 12 points in the last couple of months as well.
Yeah, John, when you look at the difference there, Joe Biden was at the top of the ticket. If we can put that back up, yeah. Biden 19 points underwater among young voters. Kamala Harris with a 5-point edge in favorability.
Yeah, and that was a real concern among Democrats, that Biden, who did so well with young voters in 2020, simply wasn't resonating this time around. The thought, some of it might have been the war in Gaza, some of it was simply, he's too old, he's out of touch, he doesn't understand me right now. That has now changed. That Vice President Harris, just 59 years old, a couple decades younger, is atop the ticket. So why don't we talk about what are some of the issues that the young voters, what is really hitting home with them? What are they concerned about?
I think overwhelmingly is, through this poll and through the focus groups I conduct, it's concerns about cost of living, right, and the economy broadly, and the concern that young people have about, is the American dream available to them in terms of offering the opportunity to own a home, pay for education, those sorts of issues. That is the driving issue. Of course, among women and among other folks, there's heightened concern about reproductive freedom, reproductive rights, health care, mental health care, but the overwhelming issue that is driving young people and their concerns at this stage of the campaign is concerns about the economy and the sense of financial stability, and that's what they yearn for.
And so does it seem they believe Kamala Harris would do a better job than Joe Biden is doing? Is that how you read that in their if the economy is the number one concern, which it is for almost everybody in this country, they think she will be better at this than Joe Biden has been?
Yes. And so, in fact, we ask a series of other questions, both personal attributes and also which candidate do you trust on a host of issues. And Vice President Harris has double-digit leads on climate, on health care, on many issues. And she is also leading on the economy, something that many people wouldn't necessarily expect it at this stage. But she has, I think, a closer to 10-point lead among likely voters, even on the economy.
So this is great news for the Harris-Walz ticket.